So the final section we're going to look at here is sourcing your props. So one of the things that I found really difficult when I started out was actually just trying to find where to buy things to use to style my imagery. Now, obviously, ultimately though, what was really important wasn't knowing where to buy them. It was actually knowing specifically what I was looking for. So when I started creating the mood boards and creating lists of the specific things that I wanted to use in my imagery, it made it much easier just when I was searching to try and find these particular props or products to style my imagery. So let's first off talk about clothing or wardrobe. Well, the most obvious place, we can obviously get them on e-com, Shein, ASOS, or whatever the big clothing distributor is in your country. And if we're careful with the clothes, they can obviously return them, so we can do it without cost. Another option is to go to a wardrobe rental house. So if you live in a bigger city where there is some media production, one of the options that you'll likely have is the capacity to rent clothes from a rental house. And then if you need something like secondhand clothes, Depop or Vinted is great, eBay too, and charity shop. And then if you've got quite a basic wardrobe and you don't have a lot of budget for a shoot, you can often just ask the model if they have anything in their own wardrobe that meets the brief. So the next thing we're going to talk about is where do we get styling food or drink. For this, one of the common things we need is plateware, cutlery, glassware, knives, forks, etc. Again, all the standard places one might expect, e-com, whether it's or potentially Amazon. What I would say though, when it comes to getting things like this, is you don't really want to cheap out. If you do use cheaper products and it's not intentional, it does tend to cheapen the value. It does tend to cheapen the image. If we take very good care of the things that we use, we can hopefully return them. And surprisingly, this is also something that prop houses, as I mentioned before, will likely be able to offer you. Or alternatively, there are some studios in my city, London, and I'd imagine in some of the other major cities around the world, which is a photography studio with a kitchen. So the photography studio is geared particularly towards doing food photography, and they often have quite a large selection of relevant props themselves. And then again, those final spots, if you're trying to save money, you might just be picking things up from a charity store. And the final section is props for product photography. Now, I'm not going to tell you again all of those different e-com shops and etc. where you can buy them from, or prop houses. In particular, things that are quite interesting for product photography or more graphic style product photography is using shadow cubes or styling cubes, acrylics. So this is different sheets. Often what we're interested in really when it comes to product photography or the graphic style of product photography is basically just simple shapes of different materials. They can be interesting to play with the light. They don't distract too much from the actual subject, but they let us play with a lot with shape and color. Often you'll be able to find a plastics manufacturer. I don't know if you just search buy plastic sheet, and you'll be able to get different types of acrylic on there. Or there are even some websites specifically that sell props for photography. Etsy is a fantastic place with lots of things like that. There's lots of different textured materials, fabrics and things like that, all intended to be used for styling product photo images. Just a few of the tips. One thing I often do, some images, we might want to have every single thing in the image that's the same color. And what I'll do in that scenario is I'll buy a handful of cans of spray paint, and I'll buy whatever the products are that I'm going to shoot, and I'll just spray paint all of them, and I'll spray paint them the exact same color. And one of the benefits of this, if we're just using quite cheap things from a charity shop or something that look quite different, once we spray paint them all in the same color, it gives a very unified theme to our imagery. Another way, if you've got that mood board put together, now AI tools are so advanced, you can actually do like a Google image search or ChatGPT search, where you just add the mood board in and you say, like, can you find me these products online? And it's a really great way to get things quickly. You can also ask, if you have the budget and a larger project, you can actually ask for a stylist to help in assisting you find all of the products, and they'll be styling. And then finally, maybe even a set designer who's going to build the props and products for you. Obviously, this is very expensive, and it's the sort of thing you'd be doing for major campaigns or in cinema. And that completes Module 7.